Welcome to the Fellow Mind Solution video on configuration management. My name is Martijn van den Heuvel. I am a business consultant.
My name is Ruud Schiepens, pre-sales consultant.
Ruud, today we're going to talk about configuration management. And yes, from Dynamics 365, we can assign product attributes to products like a table leg or a tabletop, but not to configurations like the table itself as a complete composition. And we have a great solution for that.
Right. Yes, that's our configuration management solution. That's actually exactly what you're saying. So you can capture attributes at the highest level of a product. What we've done is enable you to also capture those features at a lower level. So on composing products, that's what you do with configurations. So you put together a product, you have one main product with different configurations, and at that lowest level, at that configuration level, we can also capture attributes.
Yes, wonderful, isn't it? Ha ha ha.
Ha ha, it certainly is. Can you tell me a bit more about it? What kind of problems does it solve? Yes, what you often see is that, especially in manufacturing companies, construction supplies, car manufacturing, those kinds of companies, you tend to have a lot of products, a lot of items, I actually mean to say. And to avoid having a huge proliferation of items, because you want to capture those characteristics, in standard Dynamics 365, you would have to create a new item for each distinctive product with different characteristics. Well, that's a proliferation of articles that you don't want. But those characteristics are often important in your operational processes, your purchasing processes, production processes, sales processes. So you want to capture that information anyway. And that is actually what we also see happening in the market, that those characteristics are very important and that they do need to be captured to that.
Do you know how companies that don't use this solution, how do they deal with this issue? Do they really make all those products as separately? So every composition as a separate product? Then you can get proliferation in your...
Yes, so a very large item master file indeed. That's what we often see.
Then my understanding was that assigning product attributes is also useful for filtering your dashboard. Can you tell me a little bit more about that? I thought that was a good one.
Yes, because as we've said already, we can capture those attributes at a lower level. But what we also see in Dynamics is you often need those attributes on certain screens with certain roles for users. For example, when planning your production. Then it's very useful to see your attributes there. For example, a color. Let's say you are going to determine your production for good based on a color. Then you want to see that characteristic color in your production screen. Well, so there are multiple screens and functionalities in Dynamics where you would want to see those attributes reflected. And standard Dynamics doesn't provide that. So that's the second part of our solution, that we're actually very flexible, that you can add attributes to the screens that you want them on.
And so why is that color so important? That triggered me for a moment.
Well, usually you want to produce from very light to increasingly darker and not first white and then red and then white again, because then white doesn't become white anymore, but then white becomes orange.
Yeah, are you just cleaning your machines to avoid that?
Exactly. So it's actually affecting your setup times, changeover times, for example, the color, but also adjusting machines. You can go so far, but think of all kinds of examples that it makes it important that you use those attributes in your production planning, for example.
Yes, clear. And you have some nice things to show, I believe?
Yes, I can show you a bit of our wonderful solution. So the first thing I want to show is the flexible way in which you can add the attributes to the different screens in Dynamics. Here I have the example of that. So where I say, well, for example, on my Willys product screen, on there, I want to have the product attributes reflected in this, within this name, in this directorate. So I can further set that up here. Well, based on standard Dynamics 365, you can set certain product categories with product attributes. Like in this case, a category metal, you can assign certain attributes to the product, so it's still pretty much the standard. And then I can have this data reflected in my list page of my released products. So if I close that here and I go back to my list page, then here I have my released products, and now if I scroll to the right here, you'll see that I immediately see all the product attributes that I just saw are shown here for this product as well. So you can then have that information come back there as well. And yes, eventually with the saved views, you can save this kind of views and you can have these attributes also shown on, for example, your released products. But of course, you can do that on all kinds of other screens as well. What you can also set through this button attributes is that you can indicate which attributes I want on this specific screen. So I can also choose whether or not to show certain attributes on a certain screen within Dynamics 3, 6, 5. In addition, you have the ability on this screen to filter, sort, and search on these fields as well. Ultimately, of course, you can even put these attributes on all of your external documents so that when you send documentation or packing slips, etc., to your customers, you can also print them on there. A second and final example that I'll give is, for instance, on a sales order. Here I can add items, and I can also search TEMs by certain attributes. So if I go to search for attributes, I can see the same attributes come back here. I can specify a certain width or thickness that a certain customer demands. I can specify a certain range, and then from this view I get to see that I already have certain products currently in stock. And if I scroll a little bit lower still, I see that I have two products with a different size, with different values of different thickness, but both of them apparently satisfy the customer's requirements. So in this way, with these attributes on your configuration, you can also search for attributes and so meet the customer requirements earlier, or at least help the customer proactively to find the right products within the customer's requirements and wishes.
Well, Ruud, a nice demo. I think also, again, clear what this solution can do for you and how it works. Quite a lot of information altogether, but you made a recap again, right? Yes, I did.
Just a few brief takeaways from our configuration management solution. With configuration management, you have a valuable, flexible extension to the item master data within Dynamics 3, 6, 5. The configuration management solution is for companies that are active in manufacturing, construction supply, and metal industries, but especially for companies with complex production structures with many specifications and product features. Configuration management provides the ability to capture attributes on configurations and show them throughout Dynamics 3, 6, 5. The solution has a seamless integration with another solution from FellowMind, namely with Advanced Production, because then you can even use the product and configuration attributes for filtering, insight, and optimization of your production planning. You always have the right product and configuration information at hand with configuration management, and in addition to that, it's possible to dynamically display both product and configuration attributes on the various screens in Dynamics 3, 6, 5.
Well, that looks good, Ruud. So I think if you want to take advantage of adding attributes to your configurations, then configuration management is what you need. What's the best way for people to contact us?
Email, call, WhatsApp, or even send us a letter in the mail.
Just mentioning the link to the website as well. We have contact form there, so it's all going to work out. Okay, well, thank you very much, and I'd love to say until next time.
Yes, see you next time.